Yes. Okay. Good evening. Tonight I want to speak with you on the values of relationship and restorative justice. So when I think about relationships, I think about that being the cornerstone to any school. And when I think of cornerstone, back when builders were building big, strong buildings, they need to be strong, they need to be sturdy. So when people enter those buildings, they're safe. Along with that, relationships need to be strong, sturdy, so our children feel safe within the school. That goes with creating, a warm, caring school climate. But I want us to all take a minute to think about why we are in the profession that we're in, but then also why are we the people that we are right now. More than likely, it's been because of somebody who has impacted us in a powerful way that we strive to be these people. We aspire to be who we want to become. We're still working on that, and that's usually because those people have invested time in us. They've invested emotion with their caring and kindness. That also relates to our children on a daily basis. They are depending on us to be those people for them. While we only have them during the school hours, it's important to realize that when we go home, they're coming back to us tomorrow or the next day, this following school year, that we have the power then during those times to create those potentially life-changing relationships with them that will impact them from a day to come or even years to come. This is the elementary school that I attended. It's Brick School. It is uniquely named Brick School because it's made of bricks. It used to be a one-room schoolhouse. It's in Beardstone, Illinois. It's surrounded by cornfields. I pass this building every time I drive home to my parents, and when I pass this building, it brings back all of those kind of warm, fuzzy, just like really feel-good feelings. It was a K through 5. The teachers were invested in me, and I knew that by their actions. They were invested in my sisters, and they were invested in my family. Sadly, this school is no longer running due to budget, but there's one teacher in particular that stood out to me. Her name's Ms. Ruth Ann Allen. Ms. Allen did not have any children. We were her children. When I was in 4th grade, I couldn't wait to be in 4th grade because of Ms. Allen. She made every day fun. We got to have multiple recesses, so when you're a kid, that's a really awesome thing to do. But she challenged me, and she made me want to become a better learner. I find it very interesting now that I teach 4th grade. So I am reminded a lot each day when I go into my classroom, this was my favorite grade to be in because of the person who was my teacher. So I don't intend to be a teacher for, the entirety of my career. I want to be a leader, school leader as a principal. But how am I going to instill those relationships and what it means to truly build a lasting relationship with a child, with those teachers, but then at the same time, how am I also going to build those relationships with the students? This is my yearbook picture, 4th grade yearbook. And I remember all of my classmates. I remember them name by name. So when I see this picture, I think about, she inspired me to be who I am today. But I want to take that with me as I go to be a leader, that I want to continue to inspire people as teachers to then create those relationships with kids in the classroom so they can be standing before people and talk fondly of someone who was maybe a teacher in the building but other than me or even me. Okay. These are some of my students. I have Dalen, Nakaya, and Cameron. And I was thinking about how did I want to prepare this presentation. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to ask my kids a question. And I want them to tell me the first thing that, comes to mind. And all I asked them was, how do you know I care about you? So if you want to go to Dalen first, he's on the top left. Let me try that one again.
Yep.
I encourage and help when they need help. That's what he said. And then Nakaya. She said something encouraging. She just loves us so much, and she helps us when we need help. And then Cameron. encouraging is what they said. But to me, when I just did those on my phone, when I went back to my classroom, I wasn't surprised by what they said, because I work at the relationships with my students day in, day out. And that's what we do when we have relationships, not only with our students, but with a spouse, moms, dads, anybody that we are in a relationship with. You have to work at relationships. They don't just, if you don't work at them, they tend to kind of not go so well. So as a teacher, I work with my students day in, day out for these relationships. But I want to take that action with me as a principal, because I want to be able to foster that climate of caring and kindness that I have in my classroom, that I'm able to kind of work with them. I want to take that and be the four walls of the school. Then I'm going to have those teachers that I'm going to have to work with for those relationships, and also with the students. An article by Daniel Goleman is called The Socially Intelligent Leader, and he's also the author of Social Intelligence, which is the new science of human relationships. And he articulates the importance of creating a climate of warmth and trust due to the social nature of the brain. People like Pope John Paul II, President FDR, and abolitionist Sojourner Truth, they use their social intelligence to inspire and motivate people to follow. There are new discoveries with social neuroscience called mirror neurons and emotional contagion. And what that means is our brain is a social brain. So right now, we are having brain-to-brain interactions. So when we interact with people, our brains become in sync with them. So when you're in your classroom, I want you to think about those really rough days. And when you leave and you're like, oh my gosh, that just did not feel good. It's because your brain was in sync with maybe negativity that was going on around you. But on the end, if you are in a really positive environment, your brain is also being synced to that. You're having brain-to-brain interactions with the people that you are interacting with. So I hope right now that we are having brain-to-brain caring and calm as I present this information to you. Because of that, when we have these interactions, our neurons, they're kind of a conduit for passing of emotions. So we are passing kind of our emotions back and forth to one another, and we are continuing to have that brain-to-brain interaction. Then that becomes important for the school leader to create that optimal state, so everyone is having good brain-to-brain social interactions with that. So we want to create that optimal state so people are committed to giving their best. There's the warmth and the trust present, but then we're able to fulfill the main mission of schools, which is teachers teaching and students learning. I like this quote because it takes me to my next topic. Discipline is helping a child solve a problem. Punishment is making a child suffer retribution for having a problem. Cherie's problem solvers focus on solutions, not retributions, and restorative justice does just that, focusing on solutions. Restorative justice is built upon the 4 R's. We have respect, we have responsibility, we have relationship building, and we have relationship repairing. In most schools today, which I hope we're getting away from that with Senate Bill 100, it's 0 tolerance for discipline. If you make a mistake, you're gone for 3 days. If you make so many mistakes, you're going to be gone for an entire semester, maybe even the entire year. Restorative justice is the complete opposite of that. It's going to take the child into consideration of who they are and what they bring to the table. There's teachers and leaders alike in classrooms, they create accountability with one another. The teacher works with the students work with the teacher. They create the culture and climate of what is acceptable in this classroom and what is not acceptable in this classroom, and they hold each other accountable. The positives of this, people who have implemented restorative justice and discipline models, is that behavior has improved dramatically because students their feelings are taken into consideration for who they are. Relationships have improved, and unresolved conflicts don't really occur. There's less stress because of unresolved conflicts. So what this does is it keeps children in school. It doesn't kick them out, and children need to be in school to learn. It keeps them from, potentially going to jail or prison, which restorative justice has been implemented in larger urban areas where going to prison is a very huge possibility if you are not in school. It also teaches kids to be rational with their skills, which are things that they can take with us. So it teaches them to understand a situation, follow a process, and then resolve their problem, which are things that they can take as they become people in our society. Here are some restorative justice conversation starters, and this gets children talking about what happened. It gets them talking about their feelings, and then also the teacher or leader is able to then work with them to solve their problem, to come up with a solution rather than just saying, well, I don't really care what happened, you're gone. No, restorative justice, we're going to care about these. One of the ones that I find interesting is before I showed up to class, this happened. Because a lot of the times they come to us, and especially high school, you don't know what happened previously. Elementary, they're with me all day. I have kind of an understanding. But even before school, what happened? So I would say intermediate, junior high, and high school would be able to use these. And then here's a primary one that a teacher could then fill out with a child. So we have an I message, which is asking for change. Response would be active listening. This is one of my favorite books. It's Ordinary Mary's Extraordinary Deed. This is written by Emily Pearson, and Ordinary Mary just took the chance to be extraordinary one day. She had that one courageous act, and she delivered a basket of blueberries to Mrs. Bishop. Saw the blueberries, they looked good, she delivered them. What she didn't know is that her one courageous act would then go on to affect over 6 billion people, which is more than the people on planet Earth. So by taking the chance to be extraordinary, something positive happened. Every day we do courageous acts. As leaders, we're going to have those courageous acts. And just like Mary, no longer was she ordinary, she was extraordinary because she was able to impact so many people. I challenge each of us to take our children into consideration and potentially implement more restorative discipline practices, and to truly get to know a child and treat them as the individual they are, not as an entire mass of people. Few will have the greatness to bend history itself, but each of us can work to change a small portion of events. It is from numberless diverse acts of courage that human history is shaped. And that's exactly what we do every single day. We do those numberless courageous acts that actually shape human history. And I couldn't think of a more satisfying and exciting thing to do.